What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Blockchain channel. Today is March 14th, 2018, and we are live from Washington, D.C. And we're going to do what we've been doing the last few days here is a live stream market update, talk a little bit about prices, and get into the news. Got a lot to cover today, so we're going to get started right away. So first of all, market cap still hovering around 350 billion. Again, pretty much everything following Bitcoin except NEM, as same as yesterday. And basically, the rationale there is that CoinCheck has completed or been in the process of refunding everyone who lost NEM from the hack that they had. So other than that, everything else is pretty much down in concert. Let's look at the daily chart for Bitcoin. So it looks like we're really coming to a head here. So we've touched this downtrend line 3 times now. We're well off that at this point, and it looks like we're potentially going to make a lower low today. Although obviously that remains to be seen. We didn't get that big dump yesterday between 10 and 11:15 a.m. Eastern time, which was a little bit surprising. But funny thing is, we got it this morning, and we got it this morning starting at about 5 a.m. Eastern. So the dump time has changed. So I had to get up pretty early this morning to look at that. Although we haven't seen any rebound, so not much. You haven't missed much there. I'm gonna skip over. Pretty much everything else. Ethereum has broken that line of resistance, the 666 line, and now we're pretty much in no man's land in terms of recent support. But it's going to follow whatever Bitcoin does. So just keep your eyes open there. And Bitcoin Cash has been generally it's been relatively stronger. And as you can see on this screen here, its RSI is not as oversold as some of the other ones. You can look here on the 15-minute chart. Its RSI is not as oversold as Bitcoin, for example. Or Ethereum for that matter. Need to actually go to the 15 minutes on those, but I'm not going to spend any more time on price. Got a lot of news to get to. Google has announced that they are going to stop showing ads for cryptocurrency related things like ICOs, trading advice, those types of things. So they're following Facebook in sort of blocking the ability to advertise. And perhaps it's good. I don't really need to see any more ads of James Altucher. There's a lot of people out there that, really. I mean, we really need to self-regulate to some extent here, and Google's kind of doing it for us. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. And if you want, it's not like you can't Google and get the information you need. They're just not going to show ads. So, it's really their loss as far as I know. It's not really censorship in that sense. They can choose what ads they want to put on, just like a network television station can choose. But, as long as they're not actually preventing search results for exchanges and, websites and things like that, I think that's perfectly fine. They're welcome to do that if they want. I don't think it's going to have any effect on us, to be honest with you. So, Binance chain, Binance announced that they are going to create a decentralized exchange now, and I guess they've been working on this for a while because this is not simply a response to the hack that they had the other day, but or the attempted hack, I guess I should say. It was basically people had given over their private keys. It seemed like in one of those phishing schemes. So it's not even really a hack, but either way. Binance has announced that they're going to move into decentralized exchanges, and they're going to use the Binance coin, the BNB, as gas, and they are going to launch the Binance coin on mainnet, so it will no longer be an ERC20 token, but they will have their own blockchain. And I'm totally in support of this. I think this is a great thing. They're going to need to implement certain things like what Loopring has developed in terms of anti-front running, and there's a lot of people that have been working on this. You have AirSwap, Loopring. There's a lot of 0x. There's a lot of decentralized exchange protocols that have been developed or are developing, and hopefully they can improve on all of that work that's been done. Certainly they have the money and should be able to hire the developers to do so. So that's exciting, especially for BNB token holders, of which I used to have many more. But that is something that will be coming along, and I think that's a positive development. Circle has rolled out its crypto investment app in 46 U.S. states. See, there you go. There's James Altucher. We don't need that. Get rid of that. So they've announced that they're going to roll this out in 46 states, and they've in fact done so. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. And there's no commission for trading. And they're going to make their money on the spreads between buys and sells. Okay. I guess that's fine. It's better than doing both. So there's that, and it sounds like they're going to be, it's interesting. Circle's really moving pretty fast here. I mean, they buy Poloniex, and now they're launching an exchange app. It's pretty exciting. Hopefully it's good to have more of these. I feel like it's good to have more of these larger players. Creating exchanges that are well coded and hopefully more secure, and are complying with what regulators want of them in terms of protecting people's assets. And accountability is a good thing. I think we're going to talk more about the regulation here for pretty much the rest of this live stream. So don't need to get too much into that right now, but needless to say, I think it's good to have. One thing I like about Coinbase is that the money in my USD wallet is FDIC insured, and they have a USD wallet. That's great. I don't have to worry about Tether imploding. I can get in and out, and I can do I can place stop losses with stop limit orders and things like that. And there's plenty of liquidity. Those are all the positives of the centralization of the exchanges there. And if my money's in my USD wallet, I don't have to worry about not having my private keys. Obviously, it's not the same thing as the whole decentralized bent here that we're looking for in terms of banking and financial. But we're not really there yet either. We're this is an early stage of this project, and we're trying to get there, but we're not there. So the more options there are for cheap centralized exchanges, I think this at the very least will put a little bit of pressure on Coinbase, and perhaps they will stop killing us on fees. And Christine Lagarde is back in the news talking about blockchain again. Basically, in the past she said that there were positives and negatives about distributed ledger technologies and blockchains, and that's pretty much all she's saying again. She says that crypto is somewhere in between a fad and a revolution. Man, you're really out on a limb with that one, aren't you, Christine? And basically, she suggests that the IMF is definitely necessary. They must be a part of this. There has to be global cooperation, to harness the potential of crypto assets while ensuring they never become a haven for illegal activity or a source of financial vulnerability. She's concerned. She says cryptocurrencies could threaten the stability of traditional financial markets, and wants regulations developed on a global scale. And she wants, obviously, the IMF, who she's the head of, to have a big part in doing that. And while I think that a global regulation is something that is probably good and needed, as long as it's not too invasive. A global framework for crypto would be good. But as far as cryptocurrencies could threaten the stability of traditional financial markets, if she means that something could cause a crash in traditional markets as a result of something happening in the crypto market, I think that's preposterous. However, in the sense that they could threaten the stability of traditional financial markets, as in this new technology could replace those ancient ways of doing things that are and potentially replace jobs that people have been in traditional finance for a long time and get rid of middlemen. Yes, I do think that that is a possibility that we're looking at, and God, I hope we get there. So today on Capitol Hill, the House of Representatives is going to hold a hearing entitled Examining Cryptocurrencies and ICO Markets. And basically, this is going to be, we talked about this the other day, this is going to be more educational, it sounds like, and, sort of like some of these regulators on this subcommittee don't seem to know much about crypto, and the idea is sort of to educate them. And so the list of testifying witnesses are Dr. Chris Brummer, who's a Georgetown University law professor, Mike Lamprey, Coinbase's chief legal and risk officer, Peter Van Valkenburg, who is research director for the Coin Center, and Robert Rosenblum, who is an attorney at Wilson Sonsini. And so basically, this is mostly legal experts. So I believe this is going to revolve around regulatory topics in general. And the more that Congress can be well informed by these people, I think the better off that we will all be in the end. Less regulation is better. Informed regulation is certainly necessary if you're going to have to deal with regulation. And Coinbase released the testimony that that Mr. Lamprey is going to give today, and essentially, he gives an overview of what Coinbase is, who they're backed by, how much money that they've moved around basically since inception. The trading volume on their exchange, and basically he is requesting clarity from Congress, basically requesting that they get on this and not stifle the market. Coinbase lists only cryptocurrencies. They don't list anything that could be considered a securities token, and they don't do that because they're not a licensed securities exchange, and there's not much clarity on the legal posture of utility tokens in the United States. So he highlights here that they really need help in clarifying what's going on in this space. They need some direction from Congress as to what they can do. He says, today's environment calls to mind the parable of the blind mice and the elephant. Each agency looks at tokens from its own narrow perspective. The SEC says these assets, particularly ICOs, are probably securities. The CFTC says tokens are commodities unless they're securities. The IRS says they're property. FinCEN says that they are money. And, every agency seems to see these tokens through their own lens. And so, basically, he's asking for legal clarity on the legality of tokens, ICOs, and especially tax treatment. How should they be treated as property or just like cash? How are these or like securities? Basically, that's pretty much. He does a good job of explaining what Coinbase does, and asks for additional clarity, and offers his help and Coinbase's help in educating regulators. And still talking about regulation here. Wyoming, we've talked about this story before, but they have now passed these bills that were going through their state legislature, and they're going to exempt crypto assets from state securities regulations, assuming that they meet certain caveats. So basically, they're creating a new form of property in utility tokens, which is a different asset class. It's not a security, it's not a commodity, and they believe that, or they're hoping that the SEC will agree that this is a good way to do this. So Wyoming is trying to lead the way here in developing these new regulations. And there's a bunch of other bills that are designed to encourage blockchain startups and cryptocurrency companies to come to Wyoming, including a bill that exempts cryptocurrency from state property tax. So that's certainly a nice thing, to not have to pay state property taxes on your cryptos. But Wyoming is leading the way. We're going to see a lot more in the way of regulation. More clarity is good. More regulation, not necessarily good. More clarity is good. And finally, we have a post by Cameron Winklevoss of Gemini fame and Facebook fame. If you don't know who he is, a quick Google search will help you out. And basically, Gemini is suggesting, they're taking the suggestion of the CFTC chief here, and they are proposing a self-regulatory organization for cryptocurrencies, and they're calling it the Virtual Commodity Association. And the purpose of this is basically to foster financially sound, responsible, and innovative virtual commodity markets through a system of industry-sponsored standards, sound practices, and oversight that promotes price discovery, efficiency, and transparency. And basically, they want to create their own system of governance, and it would be voluntary. You would have to voluntarily choose to be part of the Virtual Commodity Association. And if you choose to be part of it, you would be subject to their oversight and any orders that they give with respect to punishments for not maintaining the minimum standards of the organization. I think that's we talked about this yesterday or last week, that after the DC blockchain conference, that this was an important way to go. If you don't want uneducated or other parties that don't have a stake in what you're doing to regulate you, then you need to take the lead and self-regulate. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to regulate you, but if you self-regulate and you create a group of you create some standards, and then you educate the regulators on what you're doing, it's you're taking ownership of the problem, and you're more likely to recruit them to your side, and at least have regulations that make sense, which isn't always the case when it comes to financial regulations here in the States. So that is all of the news and market update for today. Thank you so much for tuning in again. We're going to keep doing this. I appreciate anyone who, if you enjoy this, please subscribe to the channel, like the live stream once it's posted, and if you can, if you want to get updates of future live streams or any other videos that are posted, please click the bell button as well, and you'll get notifications of future videos. We're going to be working on some additional coins to talk about in that altcoin winter series, and just trying to decide which ones we want to go with next. So we'll get on that. And if you have any feedback, please let me know. be happy to always looking to improve. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.